Good morning from Spain, here with Aston Martin for a first drive in the new Vantage. Today we're going to get to drive the new car out on track, where that is the F1 safety car blasting past here at Circuito Monteblanco, but beforehand we're going out for a drive on the road. So today I want to show you everything about the new Aston Martin Vantage, a car very close to my heart. I own two of an earlier generation as it happens, and a car that I'd love to find out a whole lot more about and discover with you today. So let's get ready, we're going out to drive the new Aston Martin Vantage. If we rewind, my first proper sports car was an Aston Martin Vantage, a car that I actually own again now, a 4.7 litre V8 Vantage Roadster from 2009. That car was a big part of the Shmee 150 story, of my personal experiences, and hence in 2017 I also added the Vantage GT8 to the collection, the ultimate last version of that 4.7 V8 generation. After that new Vantage arrived, I remember driving it at the Goodwood Motor Circuit, but fast forward and I actually took the OG, my Vantage Roadster, up to Gaydon, to the Aston Martin HQ, to head into the atrium armed with some incredible cars to pull back the Union Jack, the flag cover over new Vantage, to see it for the first time. You can hear the cars in the background though. This is an exciting day ahead and we've got a lot to take a look at. We've had a briefing, the sun has come up, my car is this rather striking example over behind us. This is a big step ahead from the previous generation of Vantage. We're talking 30% more power, significant improvements to the interior, the ergonomics, the infotainment, and a car that is very much positioned in this new era of Aston Martin, jumping leaps and bounds ahead. We've seen big changes across the portfolio, the new DB12, the updates to DBX, a Vanquish with a V12 coming soon as well, but this is new Vantage. This is a car that means a lot to me and I can't wait to go experience it with you. Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Circuito Monteblanco, welcome to the new Aston Martin Vantage. We will begin with a very quick 1 or 2 minute introduction to the new Vantage because I am itching to go and get this out on the road. There are some stunning views as we're going to be heading up to the Rio Tinto, but the Vantage is a story that began back in the 1950s. It was the uprated power package for the DB2. In 1964 was the DB5 Vantage, and in the 70s, of course, one of the most iconic generations. But in the last couple of decades, Vantage has very much been the sports car alongside the DB family, certainly from the generation of which I own two, and of course the predecessor to this. But there have been some very, very big changes now in this new car. We're talking 30% increase in power. Think about that from a positioning point of view. 665 horsepower, lots of upgrades under the skin as well. The Bilstein DTX adaptive dampers. We've got lots of software going on with adjustable traction control and many new systems, along with the new infotainment on the interior, which we'll get into later as well. Now, to talk visually for a second, the front of the car has a totally new look. This much larger grille, 39% larger, means actually 50% more cooling, which of course you need for the power. We've got these air curtains around the side. Now, I'm a particularly big fan of this design. It's like the Aston Martin 177, which is one of my favorite looking cars of all time. We've got new LED matrix headlights sitting right up above, these power lines that run over the bulge of the hood. We've got these side strakes, which are a throwback as well to the designs that you found on that Aston generation from only a decade or so ago. Frameless mirrors, all of the upgrades inside. There's quite a lot to it, but we will go through more of this a little bit later on. For now, let's hop in, let's get this started, and let's go hit the roads. We need to get out of here. The roads are awaiting, so step inside. Welcome to the interior. Some of the other cars actually all head past at the same time right now. We've got power. Press again for ignition. The last of the cars here heading off, and then I will start it up. All right, nice. So I've got a lot to learn. We'll get all of this rocking and rolling and head off. They have kindly set up for us today to have the route on Google Maps. So we've got a whole series of waypoints, but out we go. This is it. The pit lane in the opposite direction. We will be back here later on for some fun on the racetrack. Tell you what, this sounds lively and exciting. There is a character to this immediately. We're just in the pit lane, but this has a lovely rumble to it. It's a big change from the base AMG V8, which of course the engine starts its life as. I'm just in sport mode, so the DB12 starts with GT mode and then you can turn it up through Sport and Sport Plus. This starts with Sport and it goes through Sport Plus and Track. You can feel the quicker shifts, the 8-speed auto. We have literally just driven down the pit lane, and this is already a lively little thing. Let's head out of the circuit area, get on our way, because I rather suspect when we find the right kind of roads, this is going to be a fairly fabulous experience. I'm only a short distance into this drive, I guess 10, maybe 20 kilometers, and I have to say, this is quite the surprise. Firstly, because I'm driving in sport mode. I've tried it in Sport Plus and I've tried it in track. And what's amazed me about this the most is that sport is genuinely set up how I like a car to be. Normally I get in a car and I like to twist the toggle or turn up the driving mode a notch or two to get it to a sportier setting. This, straight out of the box, is set up to be a fun car to drive. Now, this is the regular mode. If you go up to Sport Plus, and I will do shortly, it gets a little bit firm. We'll talk more about that as well in connection with the track later on. But in automatic, it has a nice sound to it, has a nice feel to it, there's a nice kick to the gearbox. If you go manual with the press of the big button in the center, perhaps that could be a little bit tidier. But if we drop down a couple of gears, start going down through these 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, you get some good sound. A lot of speed. It is a big step up from the cars before, and they've done a lot of work to the engine to make that happen. It's an engine supplied by AMG in a Falterbach, but so much of it has been changed, reconfigured, worked on and set up now specifically for the Vantage that it's almost its own power plant. It corners well, sits very flat. We're on the new PSS 5 tyres, which were introduced in fact with the DB12. Again, another thing that's a big change that really helps with this. The scenery around here, by the way, is absolutely amazing. And before you ask, the black line up the windscreen is an antenna, it is not a crack. But this thing just makes some wonderful sounds, and it feels so alive, it feels so full of character, it feels so exciting. And that's something that I wasn't really expecting. I was thinking that Vantage and DB12, they almost kind of sit on top of each other at very similar price points, in fact. But as soon as you actually drive this thing, you can tell that it's been engineered with a very different mindset from the beginning, from the outset. It's been designed and engineered to be a different car, to have a different nature, a different character to it. And as we go up through some of these, to be honest, amazing roads here, and get to open it up and enjoy it a little bit before we're going to be on the racetrack later on, it's a cool place to be. I mean, front mid-engine setup, so of course, decent-ish length of car out in front of you. That feeling that I always enjoy of a GT, of a Grand Tourer sports car, a dynamic driving experience, but also knowing that you've got a ton of luggage space, you've got some great tech, there's the nice Bowers & Wilkins sound system in here as well, the digital screens, we've got the nav running through the phone, all set up pretty easily. And like I say, this is just in sport mode. I'm not having to turn this up into any crazy extreme mode. If I do toggle the rotary in the center though, and we go up into Sport Plus, I get a slightly different look on the dashboard, but the adaptive dampers get a lot firmer. I'm actually quite surprised by that, because on this road in particular, which like I say is not very bumpy, you notice it significantly. Now of course there's individuals, so you can customize it, you don't have to have it either way in particular, you can set that how you would like, but sport out the box to me, sport and a press of the manual button, and I feel like we're there, and that's literally how it is when you turn it on, when it's ready to just go. Now a lot of the sound feels kind of piped in, it feels like real sound that's brought into the cabin as opposed to being particularly loud on the outside. We'll hear more at the track a little bit later on, but I'm going to pop it back into sport mode. There aren't many cars where my favourite driving setting is how it turns on, and that's basically what this is like for me immediately from the off. The seating position is about 10 mil lower than the DB12, so you feel like you're sat pretty close down to the ground, obviously what you want in a sports car. You've got great visibility, and these frameless mirrors actually offer a really interesting experience because they effectively mean that the full width of the car is only the same as the predecessor, even though the body of it is 30 millimeters wider. So at the end of the day, you get that extra stance, you get that extra poise on the tarmac without the penalty of it being a wider or more awkward vehicle to actually park anywhere. I mean, this is absolute perfection. to be here. Get those crackles when you get a higher rev downshift. This is an amazing bit of tarmac to be driving in this car, and in fact just to slow it down a notch. Down to second gear, down to first gear, foot down. It's pretty quick. We'll have a lot more of that on the track later. It's a big, big step. Well, I have to say, as places to go and drive, you can't really beat this. This for Aston Martin already feels like the 296 for Ferrari. And the amusing thing about that is these are the exact same roads as the original 296 GTB launch. It's that road-friendly, sporty character. It's a car that's set up to be driven in this type of way, to have some fun with it, conscious that it's very, very, very fast. I mean, literally at the too fast level of the spectrum, but still fun, even mid-range, even to just push around the corners as we are today, with views like this, still with a level of refinement and quality and fit and finish and feel. This is just absolutely mega for today. This combination of car and road, this is totally crazy. The sound inside is so good as well in here. The V8, no hybrid, no electrification here. This is all sports car, and that's clearly the brief that Aston Martin had to make this, and that's exactly what they've done with it. They've set out to make something that would work here, and my word, does it work very, very well. Well, it's not exactly bad up here. The Rio Tinto Valley on a beautiful day with this car and these roads. This is my kind of paradise. Now, this thing is really quite impressing me, but we didn't talk too much yet about the back. The design at the rear, very similar to the previous Vantage, but effectively all new because given it's a wider car, 30mm wider, it needs entirely new panels. It maintains this light bar that follows the shape of the ducktail spoiler. There are new openings for the airflow. We have larger exhaust tailpipes, the quad tailpipes, significant improvements from the first of the previous Vantage, which had just a single exhaust on each side, but it has a lot of presence from back here, doesn't it? That very aggressive diffuser down below, the sloping coupe roofline. We've got a carbon fibre roof, in fact, up top. I mentioned the tyres, the Michelin Pilot Sport S5. It's actually a different tyre on the Vantage to the one that you have on the DB12, given the different purpose of the vehicle, even down to the tyres, which I find quite interesting. They reworked the design of that area to fit in the iconic side strake, and this finished in carbon fibre with the Aston Martin text script along it. Looks very smart, big step forward from the design of the previous car. And then you come around towards the front, and I mentioned the new headlights and the larger grille, but look at that thing. It is a beast from this view. In fact, there are so many angles and elements of it that really ring back to the 177 for me, and that has always been one of my absolute favourite cars. Of course, we've got the carbon splitter lip that runs around. Yeah, this is a cool thing to be driving today on these kinds of roads. What a thing. As roads go, to end up driving this car today, this could really and truly not get any better. And this is before we're on the track. We're heading back to Circuito Monteblanco shortly to go and really push on, because on the road, I haven't felt any need to use their new adjustable traction control. This car now has a series of settings from 1 to 8, along with fully off, and you can adjust the amount of slip that it's going to give you. But yeah, up here, to be honest, it's not lit up TC a single time anywhere. Of course, if you put a set of Sport Cup 2s on, it'd be slightly more potent, but I've got to say, it's just set up very well balanced for this type of driving. You're going to have to take my word for this, but just as my camera decided it needed a battery swap, we've had a run of 3 Vantages going the other way on today's drives, because of course there are lots out on the local roads, and my word, do they look good when they're heading towards you. Now, I'm actually finding it a bit too bumpy in Sport Plus, so I'm going to pop it back into Sport, because the suspension change is actually significantly more dramatic than the powertrain change, I would say. But I think the basic takeaway from driving this on the road is that for this type of environment, they have done a cracking job in this. We'll talk more about what it competes with and other cars in the segment later, but for being here, for driving like this, yeah, it's really, really on point. I find myself in a little pack of Vantages on the road. This is really cool, actually. When you come on these kinds of media drives, there's another one just at the side here, how many you see around on the roads. You see all the different specifications, all the different colours, and what they look like, because you can tell so much more about a car as well from watching its dynamics. I mean, these cars, they go around the corners in front of us. Yes, for sure, you see them getting a bit of a lean on, but you can see how they're moving and shaking and what the different terrain does in terms of how far it unsettles them. This is really quite good fun, and we're not even at the racetrack yet, as we just cruise through these roads in a little convoy of brand new Aston Martins. Sometimes it's a pinch moment of, are we really here? Are we really doing this? Having now arrived back at Circuito Monteblanco, I'd like to show you a couple of things around the interior of this before we go out and drive some track laps. Now, these are the Sport Plus seats. They're also performance seats, which are in the track cars. All of the cars are spec'd with carbon ceramic brakes, hence very suited to the kind of driving we were just doing. But this is where it is all new. Incorporated from the DB12, this new infotainment system, it is a big, big step ahead of what the cars used to have. They had a floating tablet, a mess of buttons everywhere. We've got a few nice displays and screens and dials, obviously all of the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay type connections, navigation, systems that you would expect to find in something like this. There are still physical buttons, which is very much something I appreciate for the kinds of controls you want to get to quickly, whether that's your heated seat or your ventilated seat, traction control, exhaust, suspension, those types of things, manual in the center, and then you have this rotary, which is where you change your driving mode. So literally rotating that changes it up to Sport Plus, up the track, basically going through all the different settings, or if you go the other way into individual and then into wet mode, depending how you have individual configured as well. So you've got access to all of those. It's all quite nicely presented. Carbon fiber trims, the way it goes around, the split of the dashboard with different materials, the speaker grills up on top, all look really high quality. Very, very nice finish. I mean, even look behind me. It's a strict two-seater, but you've got some extra luggage space here, and you can see through to the hatch of the luggage space behind. You've got a few storage areas and cubbies, cup holders, decent armrest storage. They've actually put a temporary insert in here just for our event today to keep the phone and things together. And then when it comes to the steering wheel, like I said, I prefer a slightly smaller wheel. I like the paddles, sometimes prefer them stuck to the columns, but these are a pretty good solution on this car, and your controls that you'd expect to find up on the wheel. The mirrors, which look amazing with this frameless design, are controlled from right here, windows, button to open the boot behind, and your door handle. It's all really high quality. The way they've done all of this, contrast stitching, the different materials, is very well finished. Good choice. There's a little bit more black plastic than I might like going on here. Some of these things just could be a tiny bit touched up, but not bad overall. Really not bad overall. And then if you're in, let's go into track mode, just do this quickly. Sounds pretty cool. Very, very nice. Right, let me show you a few more things outside. Right, switch this off. A couple of things I'd like to show you, including the luggage space. So we'll pop open the boot. You do have to close the doors quite firmly. Obviously, it's a GT car at the end of the day. Very sporty GT car, but thankfully, with a lot of luggage space. So you can fit quite a few things back here. Obviously, there's a support brace across for the rigidity. This folds down, so you can actually through load some decent sized things in here. For sure, golf clubs, probably a bicycle. Take the wheel off, that could probably fit in here as well. Skis, no problem. All of that kind of stuff, or leave that closed for a bit of privacy of what you've got in the back. There's also an umbrella mounted up here. It's these nice touches, aren't they, from Aston Martin. All of the details, leather strap up top. Now let's go have a look at the engine, which opens from this side, right-hand side. Obviously this is a UK car, but given it's built for the purposes of what we're doing here in Europe, let me see if I can find the catch. First time actually opening it. Yes, it's right there in the middle, nice and easy. And there is our power plant. The 4-litre bi-turbo V8, 665 horsepower, 800 newton meters of torque. Big numbers, big performance, and you can actually see how far back it sits in the engine bay as well. Obviously everything at the front is all of your cooling, all of your airflow coming through towards the power plant with its hot V setup sitting behind the front wheels. And boy, does it drive well. Where we can really put the dynamics to the test though is out on Circuito Monteblanco. So we should probably do that. Let's get ready. One actual detail I want to show you. If you come around here quickly, close that down. The badge. The badge has grown significantly larger. Branding for all brands has become a bigger and bigger deal recently. And the Wings badge, not only does it have a new design, but has also grown in size as well. I can hear lots of cars, I can hear lots of action. Let's get this returned and get ready to head out. It's pit lane time. In fact, the cars are just returning from the previous session. Pace car leading the way, literally the F1 safety car, which sounds amazing. Obviously that is basically without cats or something, but these things on the move as they come towards us here, the colours, the cars, the styling, that front end, that very 177-esque design, really, really cool, just seeing them on the move. However, it's going to be time to grab some cameras and to hop into these things in a moment and go and give it a go. And believe me, if you take this playful characteristic that we've enjoyed on the road and bring it to the track, I'm in for a good time. Let's get ready and let's head out. This is it, Circuito Monteblanco in the new Aston Martin Vantage. Now I've been lucky to drive here on a number of occasions. We will take lap 1 in sport mode currently as a bit of a sighting lap, just to ease into this, get familiar with everything. It's a 3.3 kilometre, 12 corner track outside of Seville. It is an amazing place to drive, secluded, surrounded by stunning roads, and in a car that immediately, even just in its regular settings right now, welcomes you in. I'm going to turn it up through the different 8-stage traction control. We'll go into Sport Plus and track modes in a moment as well. But this is a playful thing, and you feel that instantly. It just wants to go. Traction control slightly intervening already, as you can imagine, just while we get started with this. And I can promise it's going to be a lot of slidey fun very shortly, because this is a car that is so much ahead of its predecessors. The amount of power that it delivers, it just has it in abundance. So let's turn it up into Sport Plus mode here. Dashboard goes red, very much set up for driving here in Sport Plus mode. That is the kind of setting for today because of the slightly bumpier surface. In fact, individual mode is actually fully set up here for everything in track, but they've put it into Sport Plus on the suspension, very much telling us that that's what they recommend. Now, traction control is, of course, still very much intervening, but my word, does it deliver a ton of power. The carbon ceramic brakes doing their thing as well. I'm going to go manual on the paddles. I'm going to do this manually from now on. Off we go, flying down here, 240, 250, and firm on the anchors down towards T1, the hairpin at the end here. God, this thing has lots of power, lots of braking, but I tell you what, dynamically, it's the combination of the dampers that this has, the e-diff, the intelligent software and systems, just everything about it screaming that you should go out and enjoy it. And they've kind of given us that feeling as well with the brief and instructions that we've been having today. And I think some people might have been pushing it a little bit too far, but nonetheless, as we follow the other car around the track here, who's kindly allowed me to go through, you get a lot of a feeling for this. It's a really, really quick machine. And I tell you what, it's got so much low down torque, although their traction control just slightly restricting me on it, that it wants you to go out and have some fun. So if we get to the traction control settings, a 3-second push on here will put it into ESP track, which is going to give me a little bit of slip like that, but still keep us relatively in check. And you just feel like you've got a complete sense of what this car is trying to do, what it's trying to let you achieve. Oh, that was cool. Nice little slidey slide in front there. 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, 210, 220, 230, 240, 250. And we get to about 262, 263 down the straight. And we're going to have some nice misbehavior in front. Very cool. That was a lot of fun to see. So this is with the ESP in track. Of course, that's what you can do when you turn it effectively off and put it into play mode, which is always great fun to watch. That's amazing. Whole lot of fun. Can we go past? Thank you so much. On the inside line around here. Oh, span behind me. We have a spin out behind. Okay. God, the braking power is great. So the next thing to try is pressing and holding for a little bit longer so that we get into the full setting for the adjustment, which now uses the rotary toggle. So you can't actually change your driving mode when you've gone into the 8 stages on the traction control. Wow, it's so balanced. I'm really impressed by the poise that the car has. The thing with this is that it encourages you to be so leery with it, to have so much fun, perhaps not even pursuing the fastest of lap times, just because you're getting carried away. Oh gosh. And that brings me to the end of that session. If I've ever got out of a car with this big a smile, I don't know. This has been so good fun, such good fun. I can't even speak English anymore. It's hot out here, it's 30 degrees Celsius. Even with the AC blasting, it's hot. Oh, this was the most incredible thing. On track, that is a lot of fun. Sport Plus, TC fully off. Might not be the fastest settings, but my word, thumbs up. That was good. Actually sounds pretty good on the flyby. Car blasts down the straight here. Been having a lot of fun. Obviously just having a little interlude, a pause. Hear the sounds of a car up there revving. The DBX 707, as you see there, now also has the new infotainment, latest updates. So I'm going to be going out again in a moment, which I can't wait for. But before that, I want to show you something. Oh. Off they go. Before that, I want to head inside and show you something quickly. Hidden away in one of the pit boxes, we have this car. Now, something quite interesting actually is, and following F1 and Aston Martin's motorsport success, green has become the most popular colour over the traditional silvers and greys and different shades that we know from the past. Inside here, to show you, are the carbon fibre buckets, the performance seats that I've been riding with in the car out on track. Obviously you can see the difference. I prefer the softer seat personally, because these are a lot harder to get into with the carbon fibre edges, and I find it much more well, firm towards the lower back. But obviously slightly different specification of this car, and also featuring the optional painted exterior livery, something that you can spec, of course, on the cars. And there are lots and lots of amazing different paints and different colour options and things that you can choose with these. This time around, I'm going into track mode. Oh, there we go, aggressive shift. We will put it into ESP track. So that is a 3-second press. There we go, ESP track. Of course, want manual again. So, let's go and see what it's like if you be slightly less of a hooligan and slightly more about the performance of it. I've brought a fly along for the ride, which is always quite funny. We'll need to get a little bit of warmth back into it. God, I tell you what, this is ballistically fast, and with the torque so low in the rev range, that's one of the most impressive things actually. You don't necessarily mind a little short shift as well. It doesn't really hurt. Sometimes it just stabilizes the car that touch more. This thing familiar, work out the lay of the land. Down the straight. The numbers build fast. Gosh, when you really work it a little bit harder, my word, does it start to let you know how serious it is. Trailing in through some of these. It's just seriously good. You love a car which just communicates with you, tells you where it's going, what it wants you to do. Now we can burn it up a little bit, have some fun. I love that in this it communicates to you so much of what it's doing. You just know where the balance is. Oh, this is so good. I can't believe I'm about to have to get out. Oh yes, 120 kilometers an hour, and the rear tires are still smoking up. I just realized that fly is still with me here. Definitely having a proper flight today. To the end of my stint then. What can I say? You know, the thing is, this car is so beautifully balanced, poised, it just wants to let you have fun. Oh, that was good. That was so good. I'm going to leave it there. Let's get back in. Oh, wow. I say that, don't I? There's got to be one more. Okay, that was nice. That was nice. We'll wrap it up there. I guess one of the side effects of having quite so much fun is that we now have some very hot tyres. Although I tell you what, tread has held up really quite well. Not bad, a lot of fun on those. Of course, not quite as much as a set of Cup 2s or Cup 2Rs, but not exactly bad at all. Done a really, really nice job. Yeah, enjoyed it. What a drive, what a thing, what a car. I'm not entirely sure what else there is to say. What a day this has been to experience the new Vantage, and what a step ahead this car now is to its predecessor. That's the thing that is quite hard to understand. The looks, as I said, the performance of it, the handling and dynamics, and the amount of work that the engineers have clearly done to make these into, well, a veritable supercar. It's grown up. You can hear a squeal of somebody else having some fun out on track. This has become a very serious contender. And at this price point, it's a small step above, say, an AMG GT, the new AMG GT, but I'd say it's a lot more exciting as an experience. It's a similar-ish range to the Ferrari Roma, which is more of a GT, doesn't quite have the same dynamic feeling that this has. Probably has a nicer interior fit and finish. It's an interesting head-to-head, that. Different experiences, really. Both 2+2, mid-front, V8 powered super sports cars, but doing it in very different ways. Anyway, today has been mega as the cars just keep blasting by. What an opportunity to experience this. You know, it's a big change, this new interior. I think perhaps even more could be done, some of the materials that are there, but it's so close to being a spot-on car. And when you consider its predecessor, people were questioning that new look front grille, the new headlights, the plastic buttons inside, and you step it ahead to this, it's a big step forwards. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you to the entire team here for making everything possible. It's been a great day, and I hope you've enjoyed this video and learning a lot more about the new Aston Martin Vantage. So thanks again for watching. That's it for now, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.